Good. Very good morning, sweets and Marians of class 8th. Send me is Nagina brought for you today second chapter in geography for class 8th. Before beginning our chapter, let me ask you whether you have completed your homework, all your questions of chapter number 1 in your notebooks. You have to tell me in the comment box. Yes, sir, we have completed properly and neatly. And before beginning our chapter, let me give you one of the review question. I told you to draw a different settlement pattern diagram. That diagram only you have to draw without seeing, and you tell me how much you are correct. Before your parents, you sit and you have to draw without seeing that diagram of different settlement patterns. Okay, and write what are three kinds of different settlement patterns in that. Let us move on second chapter today. Second chapter, population. You can see in the picture how many people are standing, population. Let us go through this chapter for better understanding. I'll be reading this chapter word by word, and you have to be with me. Put your finger on the book. I'll be reading little faster, so you should be with me. What is population? The population of an area, such as villages or city or a country, consists of all the people living in that area. A country may have abundant and varied natural resources like minerals, water, and fertile soil, but it needs people to utilize these resources. Thus, farmers, miners, workers, professionals are needed to grow crops, bring out minerals from mines, build roads, houses, and run factories, offices, banks, etc. It is people who give a country its literature, music, art, and culture, and it is people who impart education and skills to other people. People are therefore considered to be most important resource of a country. This resource is known as human resource. Size of population. A country needs people, but its resource cannot support an unlimited number of people. Suppose a country with a small amount of resources has very large population. Obviously, there will not be enough resources for everyone, and the people in general will have a poor quality of life. We say that a country has an optimum population if it is available resources can provide at least the basic necessities such as food, water, shelter for all of its people. However, based on the size of population and the amount of resources available, most of the countries of the world either overpopulated or underpopulated. So this what is overpopulated and what is underpopulated. Let us see. When the people are growing more crops, for example the wheat a country is growing and it is not importing more outside from outside, it is not importing wheat, and the wheat which is grown in the country is able to give food to all the citizens of the country, then we can call it that country is balanced. Okay, that is optimum population. Now let us see what is overpopulation. Overpopulation is a condition in which population is so large that the available resources are not enough for the people to get basic necessities such as food. Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Tanzania are the examples of overpopulated countries because there are many people who are without food. They are importing food for their people. In an overpopulated country, the people's qualities of life can be improved if the population decrease and if more resources can be made available by some means like using better technology. Let us see underpopulation. Underpopulation is a condition in which the population is so small that there are not enough people to utilize the available resources. Canada, Australia, Russia, Namibia are examples of underpopulated countries. In an underpopulated country, more resources can be made available and the quality of life can improve further if the population increases. We generally think that relatively small countries with large population are overpopulated and the large countries with a small population are underpopulated. But the overpopulation and underpopulation depend not so much on the size of population as the country's resource and the ability of its population to utilize those resources. They depend a lot on the skills, awareness, technical knowledge, health, etc. of the people, as only healthy, educated, and skilled people can utilize the source efficiently and contribute to the development of their country. So that is what underpopulation is. So now we request you an activity. Find take the scroll down the internet and find few more examples of overpopulated and underpopulated countries. When you will go through internet, you will find many options, many examples are there. Let us see now. Impact of overpopulation. To live a reasonably comfortable life, we need various resources like food, clean water, homes, Jobs and amenities such as electricity, healthcare, and educational facilities are few examples. In an overpopulated country, all the people do not have enough for these resources. There is a joblessness or unemployment, or even many of the working people can earn very little. Some people are homeless. In the worst cases, there may be a famine, a severe food shortage when there is not enough food for everyone, and there are people dying of hunger due to the lack of good health and care education healthcare and education. People suffer from ill health and cannot develop skill to use their resource efficiently. So in such condition, this is overpopulation consequences happening. Hence the quality of life is poor, and the people want to leave the country and settle in other places. In an overpopulated country, the resources are consumed faster than they can be produced or replenished. Hence, there is a depletion of the resources such as fresh water, forest, and minerals. There is also a pollution of air, water, and soil due to unscientific human activity. All this destroys, pollutes the habitat of the species other than the human as well, and many species become extinct. Extinct means they used to vanish. Large scale deforestation and the species extinction harm the whole world, as do some effects of pollution like global warming and ozone depletion. So this is what is happening in the overpopulation situation. Let us see underpopulation impact or effect we can call them. In an underpopulated country, there are more than enough resources for all the people to have a good quality of life. All this editing in the questions, like I have cut, you don't cut. While writing answers, we have to edit this of the bookish language. So that time, so no need to touch your book. Only when I will say to underline, that you underline. So, in an underpopulated country, there are more than enough resources for all the people to have good quality of life. There is no unemployment. In fact, there is a shortage of labor, meaning there are not enough people to do all the jobs that can be provided. Generally, food, shelter, healthcare, and education are available to everyone. However, goods and services may be expensive as production is low and the cost of hiring workers is high. The shortage of labor creates difficulties for industries that need a lot of workers like mining and construction. Many people who have their own country settle, many people who leave their own country settle in an underpopulated country. Underpopulated countries can easily take in more people and support them without lowering the general quality of life. Many underpopulated countries encourage people from outside to come and settle. So the shortage of labor is reduced and unutilized resource can be put to use. Distribution of population. The distribution of population is not even throughout the world. Some areas like Ganga Brahmaputra basin and the industrial region of the northeastern USA are extremely crowded. Again, some areas like parts of Sahara Desert and Amazon rainforest are almost uninhabited. Uninhabited means no people are found there. The distribution of population is influenced by various factors, which may be physical or non-physical. The physical factors that determined by the natural cannot be completely controlled by man. The non-physical factors, on the other hand, are products of human activities and are also known as human factors. Some of the important physical and non-physical factors are listed below. Physical factors, let us see. Physical factors like landform, first point. Plains have the highest concentration of population due to the flat land, which is suitable for agriculture, industry, and the development of transport facilities. Plateaus are less populated than plains. Mountains have the lowest concentration of population. So, this is what we have physical factors. Climate. Regions having extremely hot or cold climate are thinly populated. So are the regions that do not receive much rainfall, like deserts. Regions with moderate temperature and abundant rainfall are heavily populated. Soil. Areas with fertile soil usually support large population. For example, river valleys with fertile alluvial soil are densely populated. Let us see now availability of water. As the water is a basic necessity of life, human settlement always develop near the water, near the source of water. Thus, areas having an abundant supply of water are densely populated, while arid means dry region like deserts are thinly populated. Okay, now we'll move next point. Mineral and power resource. These are the physical factors for this population distribution. Minerals and power resource areas that are rich in mineral sources. Minerals and sources of power usually support large population. The discovery of minerals often encourages people to move to the site of the discovery and settle there. This happened, for example, after the discovery of the gold field in North America, Australia, and South Africa. Non-physical factor, socio-economic and cultural factor include the distribution of population, political instability, availability of education and healthcare facility, and the presence of industries and employment opportunities are some of the conditions that encourage the people to settle in an area. Centers of religious or cultural activity also attract people. The cities like Tokyo, New York, Mumbai, Bangalore are crowded because they are centers of industry and commerce. While Varanasi is crowded because it is a center of religion, it's a center of religion and learning in arts. So this is one of the factor. As most of the world's land in the northern hemisphere, most of the world land in the northern hemisphere. Northern hemisphere, the Earth is divided into two hemisphere through the equator. Equator is cutting it into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So upside is northern hemisphere. This hemisphere has more people because it has more land, more continent you will find in this northern hemisphere. Does the southern hemisphere? The world had about 7.4 billion of people in the year 2016. Of those, about 60% were living in Asia, about 10% in Europe, about 16% in Africa, about 8% in North America. So before that, you see distribution of population of the countries. How in South America, Australia, Asia has large population. Africa, Europe. So this is what Australia have very less people distribution of population of the countries. So Africa about 8%, in North America about 5.5%, South America in South America we have 5.5%, and the remaining very less people 0.5% in Australia and other parts of the world. Density of population. Underline with this definition and learn density of population. What is density of population? Density of population is the number of people per unit area of land. It is usually expressed as the number of person in every square of kilometer of land. The population density of the world is about 50% per square kilometer. This means that if all the peoples in the world were to spread out uniformly over its total land area, there would be around 50 people in every square kilometer of land. The density of population varies from place to place. Among the countries, Asia has the highest density of population, while Australia has the lowest. Actually, Antarctica has the lowest density of population, but we have excluded it since it does not have a permanent population. Antarctica, we have seen in class 7, Antarctica is just used only for research purposes. It is not used for living purpose. Only scientists used to go there. So Antarctica is excluded. Then only Australia has the least population, and Asia continent have the largest population. The density of population also varies widely within the continents. Generally, large cities, coastal areas, and river basin are densely populated, while desert, mountainous region, and forest areas are sparsely populated. Sparsely means very less population is found in the desert area. Now, we have seen in desert areas very less population. A small country may have high density of population even though its population is not large because all its people are packed into small areas. Hence, some of the smallest countries like Monaco, Singapore, Bahrain, and the Vatican City have the highest population density in the world. Some countries with large population also have high population densities. Bangladesh, Taiwan, South Korea, Netherlands, and India are the examples. Among permanently inhabited territories, the island of the Greenland, the territory of Denmark, has the lowest population density. So, this is what distribution of population we have seen. Now, let us see change in population size. An official counting of the person is known as a census. Underline, it is important definition. What is census? An official counting of population is known as census. It is done periodically to show the changes in population size. At present, the human population on the earth is more than 7.5 billion. The population has grown this size over a long period of time. Change in the size of population depend mainly on the birth rate and death rate. The number of live births per thousand people in a year is called birth rate. Underline what is birth rate. The number of lives birth per thousand people in a year is called birth rate, while the number of death per thousand people in a year is called the death rate. The difference between these two gives the natural increase. What is natural increase? When we understand how many people are taking birth and how many people are dying. We minus from that and we understand that more are taking birth and less are dying. So we come to know that birth rate is high. So that is natural increase, which is main factor responsible for population growth. We have table 2.2 growth of world population. We have seen population in billion in the year which it reached 1800 more than 1 million. Then 1927 2 billion 127 years took place. In 1960 only in 13 years it became double. It increases every billion. So in 4 billion it became in 1974, 5 billion it became in 1999 in 13 years only, 6 billion in 1999 and 7 billion become 2011 in 12 years. And we can see it will be again 8 billions in coming these years, which is 2016 or 17 or more than 8 or 9 billion it will be in the new survey which will take place in 2021 if condition will be fine and proper of this world. The population of a region may also change due to migration movement of the people in and out of it. In a country, the people are coming and going, no? So it's called migration movement. When the number of immigrants, that is, inward migrants, enter a country exceed the number of emigrant outward migrants living in country, the country's population increase. And when emigration exceed the immigration, the population decrease. Migration can take place within and between countries. Generally, people migrate to places where they get more food and resources and better opportunities of employment, education, and healthcare. Hence, there is a migration from less developed countries such as Sudan, Bangladesh, to more developed countries such as the USA and Australia. For the same reason, there is a migration with a country from rural to urban areas. Patterns of population change. Initially, the population of the world grew very slowly as both the birth and the death rate were high. With the passage of time, especially after the Industrial Revolution, the condition of living improved. I have shown you table 2.2. You can focus table 2.2 also at the same time. You can read this. Why these changes are taking place? It is increasing sometime in 127 years and it is increasing in 13 years. Then it is within 14 years it increased. How it is happening? Industrial Revolution, the condition of living improved. Better medical facilities were developed and the production of the food increased, bringing down the number of deaths caused by the diseases and starvation. Does the death rate decline? Decline means goes down, and the population began to grow at a faster rate. The gradual increase in the world's population is shown in the table 2.2 that I have already shown you this table. They're talking about this table only. So they are saying table 2.2, you will notice that it took more than a million years for the human population to reach 1 million, but it took only 12 years for it to rise from 6 billion to 7 billion. Okay, that is what is happening. The reason is mentioned above. The reason the growth rate of population led to a number of problems, including the shortage of food, it soon became clear that with the limited resources of the earth, food production could be increased at the rate at which the population was increasing. So, efforts began to be made to control and the birth rate to ensure that there would be enough food for all. The resultant fall in the birth rate has lowered the rate of the population growth. So, that is what the reason for population. The rate of population growth varies with time and is different in different parts of the world. The developed countries experienced high rate of population growth when they succeeded in lowering the death rate. Later on, these countries also succeeded in lowering the birth rate, thus slowing down the growth of the population. The facilities required for lowering the death rate reached the relatively less developed countries more recently. These countries have managed to reduce the death rate substantially but continue to have high birth rates. This is mainly because of the people in these countries are not aware of the need to control the population. At present, Africa, Asia, South America, Australia are experiencing a higher rate of population growth than the Europe and Northern America. So that is what there are different countries who are not aware. Awareness can produce change. Characteristics of population. Let us see what is characteristics. The the population of a region comprises of male and female, young and old, working and dependent people. The proportion of different categories of people of population help us understand the qualities of that population. Age composition. What is the age composition factor? The population of a country comprises three broad groups: people below 15 years, aged below 15 years, people aged between 15 and 65 years, people aged above 65 years. The relatively advanced countries have more people aged above 65 years in the population, and less advanced countries have. Why? This is because better living condition and medical facilities have resulted in higher life expectancy. What is life expectancy? It is the number of years a person is expected to live after birth. So this is life expectancy. In these countries, what is life expectancy? Is the average number of years a person is expected to live at birth. So this is what you can write. Sex ratio. What is sex ratio? It is an important factor. Sex ratio gives the relative number of males and females in the population. It is expressed as the number of females per thousand males. In most American countries, including, let us see sex ratio in some time. Before that, let me show you this important diagram is there, which is giving you the world average annual growth rate of population in 2010 to 2015. You can see how growth rate is there. Our India is coming in which portion? After observing our India, we have, this is the growth rate for India, 1.6 to 2.0%. So this is the growth rate. There are different graph also shown. These graphs are showing in this one of the graph which is showing growth of population in developed countries, then developing countries, and then underdeveloped countries. So in developed countries, you can observe very clearly how people are, their birth rate is good and people are less dying. So this is showing in less developed country is like this. In developing country, it is like this. In less developed countries, you see there are more young children and adults are very less, because as the passage of time they are dying with so many problems. Developing countries also, as the person reaches higher age, they are dying because of less of medical facilities, lack of medical facilities. But you see in the developed countries what it is happening. The young population is more, and this young population is the resource of doing work because they are able to maintain their population. The country have good medical facilities and they have education, and because of this, these three graphs are different. In this one of this important graph, that is India graph, so this you have to observe very carefully. Okay, after observing it, we came on last page now. India, we were studying about sex ratio. Sex ratio gives the relative number of males and females in the population. It is expressed in the number of females per thousand males. In most of the Asian countries, including India, there are more males than females. This is largely due to the general neglect of the families, females, neglect of the females throughout the continent, leading to their early that according to the 2011 census, there are 940 females per thousand males in India. This is in contrast to the situation in developed countries where females have higher life expectancy and generally outnumber of males. So that is what sex ratio. Working and dependent population. Let us see who are working population and who are dependent population. Children below 15 years and old people age above 65 years usually do not contribute in production. They depend on the working population for the goods and services they require. Generally, people aged between 15 years and 65 years comprise the working population. This section of the population engaged in agriculture, industry, trade, and other economic activities. This section supports the Department of Population, dependent population. This section supports the dependent population. In most of the advanced nation of the world, the percentage of the dependent population is low. So here is an activity for you. Find the age composition and sex ratio of your family so that you can do it. How many people are living, how many males are there, how many females are there, how many people are in the working population, that you can write in one of the copy page only. In rough way you can write at the last page of your notebook, that much. That is your activity. Let us see population pyramid that I have shown you on page number 17. Three pyramid I have shown you. So those were population pyramid. A population pyramid, also called an age sex pyramid, it's a diagram which helps in this In the study which help us in the study In the study of age 6 composition of the population, it divides the total population into 5 years age group. It shows the number of people or the proportion of the total population in each age group separately for males and females. It thus gives us a number of production of the males and females in the working and dependent population. It also tells us about the birth and the death rates and the life expectancy. Such death rates, such information help us to plan future need. For example, a high death rate would mean the need for the better medical facilities. A large proportion of young people in the population could mean need for more schools and colleges to educate them and so on. The age sex composition of the population and hence needs of the people are different in countries at different level development. The population pyramid given in figure 2.3 that I have shown you on previous page will help us to understand the better. So when you will open at the same time all those diagrams, you can understand how all these points are shown there. Health and educated people working age can contribute a lot towards the country's economic development. Hence, it is desirable for every country to have large proportion of its population in this category. So, what we have studied in this chapter, let us focus. We have studied about population. What is population? All the people living in an area. What is human resource? People who work to produce goods and services, give a country literature, music, art, and culture, and impart education skills and other people. What is overpopulation? A condition in which population is so large that the available resources are not enough for all the people to get basic necessities. We have also studied underpopulation, a condition in which population is so small that there is not enough people to utilize the available resources. What are the factors influencing the distribution of population? There are physical factors like landforms, climate, soil, availability of water, availability of minerals, and power resources. Non physical factors are like human political stability, availability of educational and healthcare facilities, presence of industries, and employment opportunities. Density of population also we have studied, that is the number of people per unit area of land is called density of population. Census also we have studied, an official counting of people is called census. Birth rate, the number of lives birth per thousand people in a year. We have also studied death rate. The number of deaths per thousand people in a year is called death rate. Natural increase, the difference between the birth rate and the death rate is called natural increase. Immigrant, that is from I, pay attention, and inward migrant are the people moving in into a country. Emigrant, an outward migrant, person living the country, living going out of the country. Sex ratio, the number of females per thousand males is called sex ratio. Then we have studied what is working population, the section of the people generally between 15 years and 65 years of age that is engaged in agriculture, industry, and trade and other economic activities. They are working population. Dependent population, the section of the people generally aged below 15 years and 65 years that usually does not contribute in the production but depends on the working population for goods and services. So they are called population pyramid, a diagram which help us to study the age, sex composition of the population, also tell us about the birth and the death rate and the life expectancy of the people. So that is what we have seen all this in this chapter. Now this is the time for you to go through all the questions and find out on which page they are. In next class, I'll check your answers. I'll tell you right answers, but you also have to do effort. Both short answers you all try, distinguish also you try and keep. If you have some doubt, ask in the comment box. I'll help you out. There are choose the correct also. Then there are other things like fill-ups also are there. That also you have to. You can see, dear student, fill-ups are here. 5 fill-ups only in this chapter that you can fill yourself. After finding fill-ups, I will not give you. You have to do it by your own way. Okay, only 5 fill-ups are there. Then things to do also you read out at your home and find out if any problem is there. I'll help you out. Okay, till then take care. Bye. Stay at home. Keep learning. Complete your work. Okay, all the best.